Now, the other guy who was epic for them on the weekend was Ardie Savea, and gutsy, so gutsy. I mean, he looked like he was down and out. He was thumping the floor. You know, who knows what that injury is or how long it might or might not keep him out, if it does keep him out. What do you do with Ardie Savea in that kind of form, playing on a bung, whatever it is?
Well, we discussed All Black captaincy a week ago, and we talked about first year as Kane's captain, but a performance like that and the want and desire that he had for that team, puts him right in the mix there. Maybe an All Black leadership role, a fill-in, while Sam's away potentially. Like I don't know, that was a man possessed. His work at the breakdown, his work around the field off the ball, his carries, his post-contact meters, his quick hook and go work. Now, I think they need to use this more. They used it early in the game. It was a quick hook and go, and he made 20, 25 metres open side. And I've spoken about Hoskins and the way the Blues have used it, and they use it a little bit at Test match level. Probably haven't used as much as they could this year. It would be good to see that. But when they have, it's been effective. And then, sorry, Bryn, but they used it again blindside against you, and it ended up leading to Wes Houston's try. And it's hard to defend, because it's like you've got all your systems, and it's like you see the ball go in, and the next minute they're there, and you're like, it's a weapon because it takes a weapon away from the Crusaders, because the scrum is the Crusaders' weapon, and they started the game taking that away from them, and then they spiced it up a little bit later. So. His all-round performance was great. The tactic around the scrum was great. His line-out work's really improving, and his captaincy, his captain's challenge, the way he's discussing with the ref, his tone is exceptional. He's really growing that part of his captaincy as well, really quickly. And it looks like he's just naturally doing it, and it's not that hard a job for him. And maybe it's something he probably should have done a lot earlier, because he does look like a natural captain. I don't know how you feel, Bryn, but that's my take on it. That game really stamped a mark for me on Ardie and where his I suppose future captaincy can go. And I think he's going to be a long-term captain in New Zealand, the length of stay he has here.
Yeah, I think you're right, Jim. I think you talk around those scrum opportunities. It's so hard to defend, and I seem like I'm going to be a meme for him my whole career, because he just keeps getting. It's
probably my fault for saying you got him 3 times in the last game, and I was celebrating.
Well, that's it, mate. Honestly, it's a guy like that. He just, those kind of scrum situations where he can. Well, that scenario was a little bit different. It kind of wheeled, and he ended up coming my way, but. I know the one you're talking about around the first scrum opportunity, where it was a quick hook and he got on the outside, and actually Ruben Love ended up getting the ball and making little inroads there. And so, again, it's really hard to defend. You've got such a great ball player like that. And, I think for us, you're talking about his leadership, Jip, and, he is consistently in the ear of the ref.
It was awesome to see.
It was, mate. And I think for us, as a player,
it's Crusader-like.
It was just very frustrating. It was frustrating, but you're talking about leadership style and have been able to be a tone and be able to understand of how the game's going and been able to communicate to the ref. He's been doing that. He did that really well on the weekend, and for us, for me, just as being able to watch it play out in front of me, it was frustrating. And you don't think about it too much, but again, when you've got that captain that can make decisions and talk to the ref in a tone that's going to benefit your team, it adds to how good you are as a leader. And so. For me, what kind of symbolised that game for me was after when he came off, and I know he had his knees strapped and he was hobbling off, and the whole Cape Town was giving him a standing ovation, and that kind of just symbolised the performance on the weekend. It was tough. It was just a performance where you want your captain and you want your captain to play like that, and so hopefully, fingers crossed, it isn't serious, because for the Hurricanes, they need him, and he's been doing great things for them. But I think at the next level with how he's playing, especially with Sam Cane going out and having his injury, he's probably our number 1-7 moving forward. So fingers crossed, it's not too bad, because with performances like that he has on the weekend, that's only going to add if he gives him that chance at the All Black level with Sam Cane being out.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because that's the kind of performance that for a guy like that is iconic within his team, iconic within his franchise. It's a Richie with a broken foot, players with a broken rib, torn scrotum level.
I was going to say, was it the performance of the campaign so far?
Yeah.
Across all the games, probably by an individual.
Considering,
there's been some great games, but I think most people thought the Crusaders would bounce back, viciously, and the Hurricanes, just got together with their 5 key leaders, and the 5 of them were awesome, but he was right at the pointy end of that triangle.
Nani had a hell of a game.
I'm glad he backed up our chat. We pumped him up and he delivered for us. He just ran with purpose. And I use his try as the example. He came back on that line and no one was stopping him. He was scoring that try. There was Crusader bodies there to stop him, but and I think it's his emotion he shows after scoring what that team means to him. And their leaders across the ball. Colsey, Ardie was massive, Nani was massive. I thought Julian was massive. Geordie Barrett was massive again. But between Nani and Geordie, the pressure they took off young Love, huge, I thought, and Campbell to an extent as well. They really just owned it. Their leaders just owned that game and really put the pressure on a quality Crusaders side. And that's what I meant, when Nani scored. It was like the 5 of them got together and said, if we own this and deliver, the rest will follow. And it just looked like they were men possessed. And he certainly was on all cylinders. And he has been all season. That's why we spoke in depth last week. But again...
I think the great thing that you brought up there, Jip, was his distribution ability. Like, I think Nani obviously talked around his try and he won it on his one, and no one is really stopping him from our team. But I think the subtle touches that you've talked around, we know that he's a ball player, he's a ball carrier, but the little subtle touch to Peter Umaga-Jensen into that space.
Nice.
David Havili and Richie were thinking obviously he's going to carry, and then Jack had to come in from a long way, and he gave that little touch to obviously go through, and that's where Jack got injured. But it's that subtle play of, you're going to think I'm going to ball carry, I'm going to give that nice little tip because I've got 2 players on me, and I'm going to put someone else through, and that's what you need from the 12 at the next level, which we've talked about a lot, Jip. But I think one thing that the Hurricanes did really well as well, you talked around their line speed, they put us under a lot of pressure. Like, again, there were a couple of times where there was actually a lot of space outside, their wingers got really high and shuttled off Richie and Davey a lot, where there was actually probably 20, 30 metres if we ended up getting it over the top, but we couldn't. And that probably actually went into a lot of turnovers. Like, our breakdown wasn't great. We had a lot of opportunities where we were getting in behind them, but then, our cleaners were winning the race and we were just getting a little bit behind and we're stunting our momentum through the breakdown pressure that we got.